Unidentified flying objects, or unidentified aerial phenomena as they're called now, have been a mystery for years. Are they really spacecraft that come to abduct us? Are they just weather balloons? Truth is, I don't know, and neither does the US military. But what I do know is that a lot of these photos are not clear at all. You ever notice that? You might hear the argument recently that everyone has a phone in their pocket with a camera. Why don't we see any clearer pictures? Like, all these phone cameras are getting a lot better. That's actually a good question. I mean, as cameras get better, surely we have less excuse for taking pictures of just blobs in the sky, right? To answer that, we need to look at the moon. We see pictures of the moon where it appears small in the sky and others where it appears larger in the sky. That's not because the moon has just changed sizes or has become incredibly closer to us and no one seems to have noticed. It's to do with the focal length or the zoom of the lens that you're using to take the picture. The wider the shot, the smaller it looks in the frame. The tighter the shot, the larger it appears in the frame. Sounds obvious, but it's important to clarify. The only way the moon is going to appear larger is either if you zoom in or you get up in a rocket and fly towards the moon. But we're not talking about that. We're looking at phone cameras that are generally wider angle, which is fine if you want to take selfies, pictures of your pet, videos of your friends doing something stupid. But that means in that wide frame, the moon is going to appear a lot smaller. The moon's angular size is about half a degree, and if it appears small in the field of view of a phone camera, imagine how small UFO is going to be. But you can zoom in with a phone camera quite easily. Why is it still so blurry? Well, a camera with a zoom lens can change its focal length to achieve a zoom, otherwise known as optical zoom. That's not what phone cameras tend to do. The image is instead cropped in order to get a zoom effect. This is what's called a digital zoom. No new information is added, in fact information is being taken away, so it appears even more blurry. The other thing could be the dynamic range of phone cameras. Dynamic range essentially refers to how light and how dark portions of a frame can get without losing information. The better the dynamic range, the more information you can see in the highlights and the shadows. The worse the dynamic range gets, the more information gets clipped. So on the left we have my Panasonic GH4, and on the right we have my 3-year-old phone camera. Both of these were recorded at the same time. GH4, you can see the details in the highlights and the shadows, neither are too bright or too dark. However, for my phone camera, you can see clipping in the highlights and noise in the shadows, making the image all the more unclear. And I use the moon as an example, but I hope you see what I'm trying to say here. UFOs are smaller and dimmer than the moon, and they move around, all of which making it very difficult to take a photo of a UFO. I'd say almost impossible to get a clear one at night. For example, here's some footage that's been taken from the phone of an alleged UFO, which seemingly is hovering stationary. It's blurry, shaky, and you can barely make out what it's showing. Turns out it's an advertising balloon that these people just happen to catch at the right angle to make it look like a flying saucer. So just because everyone has a camera on these days doesn't mean that photos of UFOs are going to get any better. But like we identified, there are cameras that can take pictures of the night sky relatively clearly. But unlike phones, I don't think everyone's going to be walking around with a DSLR in their pockets, are they? But professional camera equipment has become a lot better, cheaper, smaller, and overall more accessible over the past few decades. So that would mean it'll be a lot easier to capture photos of UFOs. Now this is where I have to split hairs. If I take this pen and I throw it at your head, and it hits you on the head, and you go, ow, the moment before you realise what I threw at you, it is unidentified. It is flying, and it is an object. So technically you could say that you were hit by an unidentified flying object. The key thing is knowing what it is or not. Is it a pigeon or a seagull? Is it a Chinese lantern or a Chinese spy balloon? We as humans identify things on a lot of characteristics, be it the shape, the size, the colour, the texture. But with poor quality pictures and videos, we're getting less data. We have less information to process, therefore it could easily be anything. We can easily insert our own biases into things. I mean, if you're a ufologist, you're more likely to believe that other things are UFOs if you see things in the sky and don't know what they are. If you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. Just on a completely different topic, why is CCTV footage always really pixel deficient? Like, you want people to help you identify who these people are, but I can't help you based on the 7 pixels you've provided. I'm not saying you have to go 4K, but come on, man, like, at least go HD, you know? But in defense of ufology, if you show someone a picture that's blurry, people are going to say it could be anything, it could be faked, you don't know what it is. And if it's clear as day, people are going to say, oh, it looks too perfect. No picture just taken off the cuff will look this good. This must have been planned. Like, to me, it just seems that photographic evidence just isn't enough to convince people whether or not flying saucers exist. Like, to be honest, I am skeptical of UFOs. Like, I do want them to be aliens, like, visiting us. That'll be really cool. And I do think that life must exist somewhere else in the universe. Like, it's a big universe, so we can't be the only place. I just can't bring myself to believe that aliens are visiting us on the regular. I mean, if they were, I'd ask, Why? Like, if you look around, like, Earth is a dump. I'm sorry, but someone has to say it. Would anyone willingly travel light years upon light years in order to get just here? Like, if they did, I'd recommend they should get the money back. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. If you think I am, tell me down below. And if you got some compelling UFO evidence, please put it down below. I really want to read what you have to say about this. Well, that's it for me today. I hope you like what you see. If you do, please subscribe, and I shall see you later.